Welcome to GFG News. Today is Tuesday, July 23rd, 2024. There's a lot going on around the world. But before I get into it, I do want to take a moment and say, I pray that this has been a blessing to you, because it has been really a blessing to me to be able to look at current events and not worry about what I think about it or what my opinions are, but just look at what God is saying about those things is really bringing me more confidence in what I'm understanding about the world events, as well as more comfort in what I understand about the world events. And I pray it's doing the same for you. Like we mentioned yesterday, Netanyahu is in the U.S. to speak with President Biden. However, this is really what he's facing as a delicate balancing act after Biden exits the race. This is Netanyahu's fourth visit to the U.S., and many believe that he's really trying to show Israelis that he is securing the U.S. as an ally. However, it's believed that certain cabinet members of Netanyahu's government have really held him to the fire to kind of force an aggression on this Palestinian war. Some argue that really this is testing the trust of Israel to the U.S. So clearly this meeting is to secure that, but obviously Biden just exited the race. Really kind of put him in a funny balancing act, because he also has to deal with Kamala Harris now. And Kamala Harris does not have the same feelings that Biden and the same history that Biden has dealing with Israel. Biden has a long history of dealing with Israel, and he has a personal issue of dealing with Israel. Kamala Harris has none of that stuff. She's approaching it with completely different eyes. Meanwhile, it is also clearly spelled out that he is trying to communicate with former President Donald Trump to really kind of make sure that he secures his trust before the November 2024 presidential election. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says that really the overriding focus of President Biden visiting with Prime Minister Netanyahu has to really go towards the ceasefire and the hostage deal. President Biden is quoted as saying, "There is a blueprint, a pathway to get hostages home, a ceasefire in place, humanitarian aid to Gaza, and a platform to build a greater peace and stability across the Middle East." However, as he's saying that, Netanyahu has ordered the evacuation of the humanitarian zones in the Gaza Strip, where roughly 1.8 million of the 2.1 million Palestinians living in the Gaza Strip are currently located at. Now, I want to take a moment and just kind of speak to the success of the military of Israel when it comes to God and what he says about it. One thing is for sure, Judah specifically and Jerusalem, I know it's kind of the small country of Israel right now, but if you look at geographical Judah from back in Jesus' day, and you look at Jerusalem, they will be dwelling safely really until a moment that Jesus speaks about in Matthew 24. We're going to go to Matthew 24:15. "Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet standing in the holy place," whoever reads, let him understand, "then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him who is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Let him who is in the field not go back to his clothes. But woe to those who are pregnant and to those with nursing babies in those days, and pray that your flight may not be in the winter or on the Sabbath. For then there will be great tribulation, such as not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be." And Luke's account of this specifically says when you see the city besieged. So, until that moment in time, they will be dwelling safely. So you can predict the outcome of this war and who's going to besiege it and claim, really do that thing that Jesus is speaking of, that abomination that is spoken of by Daniel is going to be the Antichrist in the world army, which is not the Palestinians. So there should be a high level of confidence in this war, in Israel specifically, if you're just focusing simply on what the Word of God says. If you look at what the world says, it's still looking pretty good for them. It's obviously important that as the U.S. we remain allies with Israel, because just like God said in his covenant to Abraham, those who bless you will be blessed and those who curse you will be cursed. And I also want to remind you that the Gaza Strip is within the realm of what God had given Israel. Genesis 15, verse 18. On the same day, the Lord made a covenant with Abram, saying, to your descendants I have given this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river Euphrates. The Kenites, the Kenizzites, and the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Rephaim, the Amorites, and the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. And this land that God promised Abraham to his descendants, Israel, that it is significantly larger than what Israel has. And even Gaza itself was then also again acquired by Joshua, who conquered that land because God was on his side. Also, Director of Secret Service, Kimberly Chetty, meeting with House lawmakers on the oversight accountability of the U.S. Secret Service and attempted assassination of President Donald Trump. Director Kimberly Chetty fails to answer simple questions like, did the Secret Service deny President Trump's campaign additional security? Why did the Secret Service fail to secure that rooftop? Were agents positioned at the rally site affiliated with Secret Service or another department? She didn't even know. What other law officers were there? Was there any intelligence gathered by Secret Service on the gunman? How was Secret Service resources deployed at the rally site? Was there advanced planning by Secret Service leading up to the campaign rally? And because of failure to answer these questions across the board, both Democrats and Republicans demanded she immediately resign. And as of a couple hours ago, she has made that official. All right, now on to a segment that I like to call the red or blue pill, where you have a choice. You can take this pill and you can just keep living that sweet little life and not really see what's actually happening behind the curtain. Or you take this pill and you can actually see what is happening, what God is doing. And so I always put this at the end. So you can choose to leave right now if you'd like. But if you'd like to stay, we're going to take a look at 2 Timothy chapter 3. But know this, that in the last days, perilous times will come. Perilous times have come. For men will be lovers of themselves, just like the American way. Lovers of money, boasters, proud, blasphemers. We're so blasphemous as a nation. Disobedient to parents. Goodness gracious, it's unreal. I wouldn't have ever believed kids would be so disobedient when I was a kid. I'd be horrified. I think as a kid I'd be scared of other kids. Unthankful, unholy. We are very unthankful. We are very unholy. We are very unloving. We're a very unloving nation. Unforgiving. We hold it all in. We never forgive. Slanderers. We love to lie about each other. Without self-control. People are losing their self-control. Just watch TikTok. Brutal. Despisers of good. Traitors. So many traitors. Headstrong. Haughty. Lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. More people have logged into Pornhub in the last couple hours than Bible Hub in the last month. Having a form of godliness but denying its power, and from such people turn away. And we do. We look pretty, we claim to be a Christian country, and look at all the churchgoers we got, but this is the truth. And you know it to be so. There is definitely no denying that this is the reality of what America has become. And to be quite honest, it wasn't that long ago that it wasn't like that. I mean, it was bad, and there's always been sin in the world, but not like that. That's a very exact description of what we have evolved into, really, I'd argue, in the last 10 to 20 years. So there you go. There's your news for July 23rd. Thanks for watching and God bless you.